What if I told you that sometimes having less can make you richer? Sounds strange, right? Let me tell you a story that might just change the way you think about wealth. Once, in a busy town, there was a beggar who sat silently by the side of a road. The town was always full of life, with people rushing about their business, talking, laughing, and hurrying from one place to another. But amidst all this noise and chaos, the beggar sat quietly, watching everything unfold around him. His clothes were old and tattered, showing signs of wear from many years of hardship. His face looked tired, marked with the struggles of life. Yet despite his worn-out appearance, there was something about the beggar that made him stand out from the crowd. His eyes, bright and clear, sparkled with a calmness that seemed to radiate from deep within. They were eyes that had seen much but were unshaken by the weight of the world. People passing by would often glance at him. Some would throw him a coin or two, others would avoid his gaze, but few took the time to really notice him. Yet there was something peaceful about him, something that made you stop and wonder how he managed to remain so calm in the face of his circumstances. One day, as the beggar sat there, a rich man walked past him. The rich man had everything anyone could want. He wore fine clothes, drove the best horses, and was known by everyone in town for his wealth. His house was large, with gold trinkets hanging on the walls, and his business empire stretched far and wide. The rich man had everything, or so he thought. As he walked by the beggar, he couldn't help but notice the man's peaceful demeanor. Despite his rough clothes and his apparent poverty, the beggar's face showed a sense of serenity that was rare. The rich man, who was used to seeing people always striving for more, was suddenly struck by the beggar's calmness. It made him curious. He stopped and turned back to the beggar. "Excuse me," the rich man said, his voice warm but tinged with a hint of superiority. "I've been watching you for a while. You don't seem to have much, but you look so calm. I want to help you. Take this." The rich man reached into his coat and pulled out a large, heavy bag filled with gold coins. The bag glittered in the sunlight, and the sound of the coins clinking together was like music to the ears. "Take this gold," the rich man continued. "It's yours. With this, you'll never have to beg again. You can live a comfortable life. This gold will change your life forever." The beggar looked at the bag of gold for a moment, his expression unchanged. Then slowly he looked up at the rich man, his gaze calm and steady. "Thank you for your generosity," the beggar said softly, "but I don't need gold. I have everything I need already." The rich man, surprised by the beggar's response, furrowed his brow. "But why would you refuse gold? It can buy you anything. A warm house, food, clothes, comfort, happiness. Don't you want those things?" The beggar smiled gently, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. "What I need is not gold. What I need is a simple meal to fill my stomach, and I already have peace of mind. That is my true wealth." The rich man was taken aback. He couldn't understand it. To him, gold was the answer to everything. Gold could solve any problem, fix any situation, and buy whatever was needed to make life easier. But the beggar was telling him that he didn't need gold. He didn't need more. The beggar was already content. Months passed, and life for the rich man took a turn for the worse. Despite all the wealth he had made a series of bad decisions. He had invested in businesses that failed, he had trusted the wrong people, and he had spent money on things that didn't matter. One by one, the things he had worked so hard for began to slip through his fingers. His business empire crumbled, his savings disappeared, and even his reputation took a hit. He lost his home, and soon he found himself living in a small, rundown apartment. The luxurious life he had known was now nothing but a distant memory. He had everything, until he didn't. One night, as he sat alone in his dark apartment, reflecting on how everything had gone wrong, he remembered the beggar. He thought back to that day when he had offered the man gold, and the beggar had refused. At the time, the rich man had thought it was foolish, but now as he struggled to make ends meet, he wondered if there was something he had missed, something the beggar had known that he didn't. The rich man was desperate. He felt lost and confused. He needed answers, and he needed them quickly. Determined to find the beggar and seek his wisdom, the rich man set out the next morning. He walked down the familiar road, past the busy market, through the crowded streets, until he reached the spot where he had seen the beggar all those months ago. And there he was, sitting exactly where he had been before, on the same corner, in the same quiet, peaceful way. The beggar looked just as calm and content as he had the first time. He was eating a simple meal, his face serene, as though nothing had changed. The rich man approached him slowly, his heart filled with a mixture of regret and curiosity. "Do you remember me?" the rich man asked, his voice trembling slightly. "I offered you gold, and you refused. I thought you were foolish back then, but now I've lost everything. My wealth, my business, my status, they're all gone, but you still seem so peaceful. What is your secret?" The beggar looked up, his eyes filled with kindness. He smiled gently as though he had been waiting for this moment. "My secret," the beggar said, "is very simple. Gold doesn't bring happiness. It doesn't bring peace. In fact, it only adds weight to your life. The more you have, the more you must protect, the more you must worry about. I don't need gold to be happy. I don't need anything more than what I already have. Peace of mind is my true wealth." The rich man stood silent for a long moment, absorbing the beggar's words. It was as though a veil had been lifted from his eyes. He had spent his entire life chasing after wealth, believing it would bring him everything he needed. But now, in the beggar's simple words, he understood that the most valuable thing in life wasn't gold, but peace. From that moment on, the rich man's life began to change. He stopped chasing after more wealth, more things, more status. He realized that he had spent too much time running after things that didn't bring him true happiness. The more he had accumulated, the more burdened he became by his possessions. Instead, he began to focus on the simple things. He spent time with the people who mattered to him. He found joy in the quiet moments, in the beauty of nature, in the laughter of friends, and in the contentment of a well-lived day. He learned to appreciate the small pleasures in life, the things that money could never buy. And as he did, he discovered something profound. The more he let go of the desire for more, the more fulfilled he became. He learned that happiness was not found in the things we accumulate, but in the peace we find within ourselves. The greatest wealth isn't found in gold or possessions. It's found in peace of mind, contentment, and simplicity. Sometimes having less makes you richer. When you stop chasing after more, you can find the happiness you've been looking for all along. Peace is the true treasure, and it doesn't cost a thing. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and share it. I'll see you next time with more wisdom to help you on your journey. Stay curious, stay humble, and keep moving forward.